And welcome back. Well, many of you may have become engaged during the holidays. After deciding when and where to get married, there are lots of other choices to make. And one big one, you know what it is, it's the music. Live entertainment can really add a special touch to any occasion, but especially to a wedding. From cocktail music to dancing all night long, the tunes set the mood and give it some style. So, Jared Judge is with BookLive, and he is here to help you plan the music for your special day. Good morning to you, Jared.
Good morning. Thanks so much for having me.
Absolutely. I'm sure you agree with every ounce of that, right? The music makes the night for a wedding.
It really does. Music is so important. Most people, when they're getting married, they're afraid of having a boring wedding. You don't want your guests going home and not remembering the wedding. And you also want it to be intimate and a more personal human experience that connects you with your friends and family and establishes your vibe and personality. It's super important. And the nice thing about live music is that every single performer and performance is so unique. So your wedding will be one of a kind with the perfect music. And you're also going to get to support the local arts community when you do it and keep your guests entertained. So, and then a nice thing about live music is that during COVID, you might not want a huge crowd dancing during your reception, or maybe you do. But if you don't, a solo musician is perfect to keep your guests entertained while they're eating and, mixing and mingling.
Yeah, that's so, and I'm glad you brought up the part about even supporting local musicians. I think we're watching Tim Wright here perform. And, one of the things that I think is so great about music is it's one thing that people talk about after your wedding is the music. Did people dance? All the things that you just mentioned, that intimacy part of it, how unique it was. But a lot of people think this is where they're going to drop the money, right? They're going to say it's so expensive to have music. What do you say to people who say that about live musicians?
I'd say, yes, you might think that, but you'd be surprised to know that live music is much more affordable than you might think. In fact, the cheapest musician that you could hire on booklive.com comes in at under $150. So that's much cheaper
What?
than you'd think. I know, it's crazy. It's such a good deal. The thing about the prices is that it depends on the act. So if you're going to get a one-person musician, you're going to pay a lot less. If you get an 8 or 10 piece band, you're going to pay more. But no matter what you pay, you're going to get what you deserve because live music is just so cool. You might not know how much a band costs. Typically, what you'd have to do is you'd have to call the band or an agency or something like that. And then you have to discover, like, oh, they're out of my budget. But the nice thing about booklive.com is that instead of having to make those uncomfortable phone calls, the price is listed on our musicians' profiles on our website. So it's easy to find that out.
I think that just takes away all the nerves because a lot of people are going to say, well, I've never worked with a musician before. And they're going to think that it could be complicated to do so. What is it like? So once you see the price of the musician that you want and you choose a musician, is it complicated to work with a musician directly?
So typically you'd think that working with a musician is complicated because most people don't work with musicians before. This is their first time hiring one. And typically you'd think that you have to call them and make tons of emails and phone calls to arrange all of the contract and the payment and the arrival and the playlist. And let's face it, musicians are trained in music, not in working with brides and grooms. But
Right.
with us, with BookLive, this is all taken care of online and is as easy as booking an Airbnb. So the way it typically works is that it's 3 steps. They're super easy. The first step is discovery. So you're going to get to go on our website, discover your perfect entertainer for your wedding. It's fun. You get to watch videos. You get to narrow down your choice. And then the second step is also just as easy. It's the booking step. And most people these days have booked something online, like an Airbnb. And we have a similar online booking form. You get to pay your deposit online, so you don't have to bring checks to your wedding. It's so much fun. And then the third and most fun part is actually planning the music for your big day. You actually, with booklive.com, you get a fun online music planning portal and you get to plan out the perfect entertainment for the big day. So the musician will show up, they're going to do a great job. You and your guests have an amazingly memorable wedding. And the nice part is if you ever get lost during one of those parts of the planning process, me or one of my team is available to live chat you right here from our offices right in downtown Milwaukee to help you plan out your perfect wedding.
I love that. And I think, sometimes when you do need the help and there's somebody local like yourself, it just makes it so much easier because you've got great ideas. The musicians have great ideas. They've done this before. And that's one of the things I wanted to mention too. Speaking of doing this before, you've worked with a lot of the top venues in town. So talk about how Book Live really has this partnership with some of Milwaukee's best venues.
Yes, that's absolutely right. So we do work with some of Milwaukee's top venues like Turner Hall, F Street Hospitality, who does the Milwaukee Brewing Company and Glass and Griddle, Milwaukee Public Market, and we keep continuing to build our partnerships with these amazing wedding venues every day. These event professionals, they trust our musicians and love how easy we make the job for their clients to book and plan the perfect weddings and events, which in turn makes those venues stand out with some amazing live entertainment.
It's so true. And I think we've got some things to celebrate here in Milwaukee, including you guys. So thanks so much for joining us, Jared.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. And here's how you can book live. Take that first dance quiz. If you don't know what you want it to be, this is how you can find out. It's a great quiz you can take on their website, at the website right there, the little bit right there. The phone number for you to call for Book Live is 414 253 2504.